Today, if you look at the life of most teenage boys, you will see that they're spending hours a day playing video games. If you are one of these boys, stick around till the end and I'll explain just how much this addiction is ruining your life. So, let's start off with why do you play video games, right? Why are they so addictive? Well, video games have a pretty cruel way of short circuiting important parts of life that give you happiness. So let's get an example. Let's say that you're playing Fortnite, you and your friend are two of the last four players left. He kills one of them, but the other is on full health. At that moment, you snipe the last player from afar and you win the game. Victory Royale, right? What happens in your brain? You are overwhelmed with emotions of achievement, brotherhood, status. These are all things that take an immense amount of work to do in the real world, but very easy to do in video games. So now you have experienced those emotions. You want to experience them again. So you come back to the video game. It hooks you back in, like you get addicted to it. Soon you get used to the high, to the emotion, and you spend more time playing video games. And that's time that you're not progressing in real life. So eventually, you reach an amazing level of status in the game. But what about your real life? Well, since you invested all of your time into gaming, you have none in real life. Your life in video games is so much better than your real life. So I know many guys relate to using video games as an escape from their life. But what they don't realize is the more they use it as an escape, the more they will want to use it to escape their real life because their life in video games gets better, their life in real life gets worse. Another thing is that video games give a crazy amount of serotonin and dopamine, which those are just the hormones of happiness and motivation for a human. And the more you're exposed to these, the more you get used to them. It's very, this is seen in like food addiction, alcohol, drug addiction, that you get used to it and you need more and bigger doses. So this is called frying your dopamine receptors. But what it means practically is that you don't enjoy your life outside of video games anymore because it doesn't give as much of happiness hormones as the actual video game. So another reason that video games are messing up your life is that they just practically waste many hours a day. This results in missing out on key parts of life like time with family, success in work, school, time with friends. And now a lot of you are going to be saying that games count as spending time with friends. They don't. Like, I know of my friend. He had a friend that he met through Valorant, but when they met in real life, they just weren't able to get along. It's like your friends that you meet through video games are just your partners in addiction. You're both friends with the video game. You're not actually friends with each other. So I have an actionable step for you. Let's forget what I was just talking about and recall some of the greatest memories of your life. From your childhood into your teenage years. Maybe you're in your teenage years right now. Now, how many of those were inside a video game? Unless you spend your whole life playing video games and don't have a real life, I would guess that none of them, or at least very little of them, were. So this makes us realize that every second and minute and hour we spend playing video games is time that we won't get back. And ultimately, when you are on your deathbed saying your last words, you won't regret that you played too little video games, obviously. You'll regret how much time you spent on them, that you wasted literal years of your life just playing video games. Okay, so the next point I have is pretty short, But there is another part of your life that gets handicapped by video games, and that is your performance in school work, and actually, even your performance in relationships. Apart from studying and working less, just by time, video games will impact your brain in a way that you will just think about them randomly throughout the day. If you do play a game a lot, many of your thoughts during important times, like studying or being with friends, working, being on a date, will be about the video game and how you can't wait to play when you get home, which is just gonna be very visible for the other person because they'll see that you're not present with them, and this can actually deeply offend someone, and rightly so. Alright, to finish off this video, there are a lot of excuses that people use to justify spending time on video games. It's only 1 hour a day. Few people spend an hour a day playing video games. And if they were tracking it, it would be more like 3 hours. But even if you limit yourself to an hour strictly, you won't feel like you got enough anymore. So you will be thinking about how to spend the hour that you play tomorrow, taking up your free time outside the game. I only play at the end of the day to unwind and relax, some say. But if you think about that sentence for 1 minute, you will then realize that your brain is extremely stimulated while playing video games, and it's not in fact relaxing. Stimulation and relaxation are two different things. If you truly wanted to relax, you would lie there in silence or maybe read a book. It doesn't fry your dopamine receptors, but it actually allows your brain to stop working and unwind. Maybe one day I will get into esports. Now this one is targeted at you, Rodrigo. Esports players actually spend 80% of their time practicing specific moves or training their performance outside of matches. Only about 20% of their training is the fun part of getting into matches. And even then, they're extremely focused on their performance and not focused on having fun. So unless you're training like an esports player, this is just pure copium. And finally, always remember to embrace progress, not perfection. See ya.